The first delegate who has requested to speak is the EU delegate, so I will now invite her or him. Do we have the EU delegate in the room? Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, sir. So you're invited to.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm pleased to have the opportunity to share with you some ideas from the perspective of the European Union and its member states. First, let me thank the panellists and keynote speakers for the very interesting and insightful presentations this morning. Innovation provides real benefits for all citizens by determining the way we conceive, develop, produce and access new products, industrial processes and services. It is the key not only to creating more jobs, building a greener society and improving our quality of life, but also to maintaining our competitiveness on the global market. This is important because demographic changes and competitive pressures mean that Europe's future economic growth and jobs will increasingly have to come from innovation in products, services and business models. Therefore, we need an integrated and strategic approach to shape our policies in all relevant areas, whereby research and innovation policy is steered at the highest level. While we acknowledge the fiscal challenges facing countries, it is critical to continue to invest in areas on which our future economy will depend. Europe 2020 is Europe's strategy for jobs and growth and a roadmap to get the European economy back on track. It will continue to guide the action of Member States and the Union to promote employment, improve the conditions for innovation, research and development, meet our climate and energy objectives, improve education levels and promote social inclusion, in particular through the reduction of poverty. At the heart of this strategy is the conviction that research and innovation are essential to building and sustaining long-term growth. That is what Horizon 2020 and the linked policy initiatives, Innovation Union and the European Research Area are all about, and the panellists from the EU Commission have spoken in considerable detail about this morning. The EU has a broad concept for innovation, including technological and non-technological, demand and user-driven innovation, business model and eco-innovation, innovation in services and design, and public sector innovation in support of creativity and entrepreneurship and for the benefit of smart, sustainable and inclusive growth. The European Union recognises the need for incremental innovation as well as system changes in order to speed up innovation processes towards green growth, as well as the implementation and further development of the innovation partnerships. For example, the European Innovation Partnership on Water and Raw Materials aims to break down barriers to innovation and facilitate the development of innovative solutions in the fields of water management, waste, and the EU Eco-Innovation Action Plans propose a number of measures to stimulate eco-innovation. In this context, the EU will aim to bring forward a number of activities that will further promote innovation, particularly in the context of advancing the transformation to the inclusive green economy. Greening the economy is a large-scale structural transformation that requires a regulatory and policy environment that encourages innovation in multiple sectors. Public-private partnerships can facilitate the mobilisation of financing to develop the infrastructure and public services required to support resource-efficient, innovative and competitive economies. They can underpin most policy instruments aiming to promote innovation. UNEC's work in this area is of great value for the region and beyond. Knowledge sharing on innovation depends on the existence of appropriate monitoring and assessment mechanisms that can provide a good foundation for policy design. UNEC offers a platform for the exchange of policy experiences and assists countries in producing tools for assessing their innovation performance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Delegate from the European Union. I will now invite the delegate of Romania to speak.
Mr. Co-Chairperson, Mr. Moderator, thank you very much. Distinguished participants, I want to underline our support for the EU statement, and please allow me to add some other issues. Innovation can support the transition towards a smart, sustainable and inclusive growth. Eco-innovation is not just a profitable niche, but also a fundamental factor that can help the economy in adapting to environmental and resource constraints in order to regain competitiveness and to contribute to creation of new jobs. In the context of current economic and financial crisis, This is extremely important in order to reinvigorate the economy, improve quality of life, and ensure environmental protection. Romania considers that in order to make progress on the road of eco-innovation, the exchange of experience and the development of communication channels for the information are extremely important aspects. To this end, Romania proposes the creation of a regional platform that would enable both the exchange of knowledge and discussions on the policies and best practices regarding eco-innovation. The possibility of creating new jobs, the development of a greener society, and the improvement of our quality of life, as well as maintaining economic competitiveness, are priorities of the current government of Romania. Therefore, in its efforts of making the impact of eco-innovation more efficient, Romania considers that a number of measures are needed aimed at the relation between research and market, with actions both for each state as well as at pan-European level. Initiatives regarding pilot markets, generic technologies, adequate financial instruments. In this sense, we can underline the EU Programme for the Environmental and Climate Action, Programme LIFE, as well as the Competitiveness Framework Programme that supports SMEs. Also opening global markets, promoting innovation policies that are currently key elements on the global green growth agenda. Romania believes that in order to avoid non-applicable policies and to ensure the transition to a green economy, it is essential to have a strong cooperation both at the national and regional level between decision makers, research institutions, the business environment, and civil society. Public initiatives can connect private companies and academic research institutions so that they may elaborate projects leading to the development of green technology of commercial value. Innovation can bring real benefits for us as citizens, consumers, and workers. It accelerates and improves the way in which new products, industrial processes, and services are designed and made accessible. In this sense, Romania is supporting, including through its national strategy for waste management, that eco-innovation, eco-design, a life cycle approach for products have the advantage of integrating different stages from design to waste in order to realize a better assessment of the environmental impact of products. It is imperative to search for new solutions that are environmentally friendly and lead to a reduction in the consumption of materials and energy. We consider that a circular economy could advocate such kind of solutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Delegate from Romania. Now I will invite the delegate of Belarus to express himself.
Thank you, Chair. Let me start by expressing the appreciation to the panelists who have presented, in our view, a number of very interesting observations. Many of the points they made coincide with the national experience that we have in the Republic of Belarus. Yes, national innovation systems is a combination of legislative, structural, and functional components. It's a complex system which requires coordination of the activities of scientific research institutions and industrial companies. In addition, you also have to take into account a special regime for a relationship with the financial institutions. And that relationship with the financial institutions, it depends on the legislation in the country. In addition to this, today in Belarus, we can clearly see, and this was spoken on at length by Mr. Erlich, we can clearly see the need to form other softer forms of promoting these activities. When I say softer forms, I mean enhancing the prestige of entrepreneurial and scientific activities, forming in society respect for people who create something new, a culture of respect for creators. Also, tolerance for failure, which for objective reasons can always happen, failure. And that tolerance of failure requires the establishment of an insurance system to allow entrepreneurs to overcome failure and to continue to strive. And here I'd like to point out that the key stage in the development of the Belarus National Innovation System, a key stage was a study which was a review of innovation policy in Belarus by the experts of UNECE itself here, which was carried out in 2010. Thanks to this study, the review of our innovation policy, we have managed to analyze the logic for building up an innovation system, the underlying logic. We have first detected weak spots and bottlenecks which considerably impeded effective innovation policy. But also the main thing, we have ensured consistency to bring about a systemic improvement and a coordinated progress in all elements that make up the system in an interlinked way. Without the UNECE study, it would have been extremely difficult for us to achieve this. And we're extremely grateful to the experts for a very friendly, committed, and objective review of the situation in our country. In particular, I'd like to emphasize that thanks to this cooperation, we have been able to understand the interrelationship between all of these individual elements that make up the system. Today, the selection of tools that we can use at the national level are well known. The toolkit is known. The hardest thing is finding the right combination of tools. The interrelationship between them, which can work, take into account national, historical, and political conditions in each specific country. I believe that this is a very important element, since national diversity makes each national system unique. And this leads to the particular role that the UNECE can play, the Economic Commission for Europe, which can be and should be a platform for exchanges of experience and for discussions of possible national policy tools aimed at improving effectiveness in the future. And here I'd like to also make another very important point, which was another function of the UNECE experts when they carried out their review. Thanks to the review, we were able to compare the parameters we've achieved in Belarus with the parameters achieved in other countries. We will be able to carry out a comparison, which is often in English called benchmarking. We were able to do that benchmarking. We could see the specifics, the specific standards and improvements that we needed to achieve. So, under this new system, we have been now working on it for 2 years, developing it in Belarus, and this new innovation system is already starting to produce practical results. Of course, we're convinced that we still have further achievements ahead of us from this new innovation system. Clearly, you need a longer period of time in using the system to get results. But based on just the results of the past 2 years, we can already say that the number of innovative enterprises in Belarus has increased by more than 20% already. And expenditure on technological innovation in enterprises has tripled, increased threefold. we are having some quite unexpected examples which clearly show that there's been a real increase in the activities of small and medium-sized enterprises. We have seen a dynamic development of a new phenomenon, venture capital, and we are also seeing much more involvement in international projects too. I can give you specific examples. In particular, the program for Viper mobile phones, which are often referred to as the ideal tool for Skype, is being developed very actively at present in Belarus. And in this connection, Chair, our delegation would like to support the activities of the Department of Economic Development and Integration and the efforts they're making, particularly in innovation. Without any doubt, we see this area as being of strategic importance. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Delegate of Belarus. I now invite the delegate of Turkey to take the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I would like to thank all speakers. I would like to join the other speakers also. Science, technology, and innovation play a crucial role in all three dimensions of sustainable development. SDI create jobs and contribute to growth. EC's works on sustainable energy, transport, and trade, very important topics, and all those topics benefit from SDI. These are all areas where ECE plays an important role. Also, EC's work on innovation by innovation performance reviews help member countries in the region to improve their innovation capacity and create a competitive economy. In this regard, we are looking forward to coming ECOSOC meeting in July. We believe ECE will contribute to the work of ECOSOC on this important topic. We also believe that mechanisms to assist developing countries should be developed. Turkey puts a special emphasis on least developed countries' needs and stands ready to increase efforts to address them either bilaterally or multilaterally. We are looking forward to establishment of technology bank and science research and innovation support mechanism, which was foreseen in the Istanbul Action Plan. Bearing in mind the importance of R&D, Turkey has drastically increased R&D's share in its GDP and has introduced comprehensive incentives and tax exemptions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I will now invite the delegate of Uzbekistan to take the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. We would like to express our appreciation to today's presenters for their interesting and useful presentations on the issue of innovation in creating dynamic and competitive economies. Uzbekistan is also working in this area. And today we would like to share with you our approaches and what we've achieved in this area. In our country, a great deal of attention is given to setting up a constructive dialogue between academics and development experts in order to promote innovation and activities in this area and to have innovative ideas and technology and projects. Now, at these, we have fairs with different types of technology, and at these fairs we involve different types of professions, designers, constructors, academics, experts, and so on. In the report on the Global Index of Innovation for last year, the International Business School INSET in France does a comprehensive analysis of development activities of 141 countries in the world. Uzbekistan in the report was in 35th place in terms of development of human capital. Thanks to the measures that our country is carrying out, including in the area of innovation, Uzbekistan's GDP growth grew by over 8%, and technological production also grew. We had macroeconomic stability and a balanced economy. We have had a significant increase, 11.6% in the volume of export. We are improving the structure and quality of exported products. As a result of this, the share of non-commodities was more than 70% in the overall economy. Mr. President, in the context of the presentation by Mr. Pavel Stelashik, I would like to note in particular that in order to further improve the production potential, to increase the development and introduction of innovative technology and the use of the production of new types of goods needed for world markets, Uzbekistan has taken the decision to create in one of our cities, an administrative center as part of the first free industrial zone in the country. This industrial economic complex will organize production in a competitive way. They will produce goods that will be competitive in the market. There is good potential there to produce high-tech products, including electrotechnical products, telecommunications, and machine building goods. There will also be pharmaceutical products and others, and building materials. Since the creation of this zone, we have seen the introduction of 12 companies, and they produced products totaling 80 million. And we're currently carrying out 7 high-tech campaigns also in this area. According to a decree of the president, since recently we've been creating a special industrial zone, Ungren, which is expected to play a significant role in improving production of competitive products and creating new jobs and in attracting foreign capital in order to help create high-tech products. The companies involved in this Ungren zone are given a time frame of 3 to 7 years based on the volume of investment, and they will be given tax benefits and other preferences which will help to involve companies in this infrastructure. Already on the territory of the Ungren zone, there are 8 investment projects being carried out, totaling more than $160 million. Thank you.
Of Uzbekistan, I now invite the delegate of Croatia to speak.
I would like to thank the key speaker, moderator, and panelists for interesting presentation. Croatia fully supports the statement made by European Union. Croatia recognizes the importance of innovation as the key means and source of competitiveness. In this context, we recognize also the importance of creating an ecosystem for supporting innovation and growth of innovative SMEs as well as startups. Measures to further leverage competitiveness, technology absorption capacity, innovation potential, and scaling of innovative projects have been improved. As of 2013, support measures shift from implementation of new technologies and innovation towards development of innovation, business model, innovation, and knowledge-intensive industries. Innovation policy as developmental policy needs to be seen as horizontal policy that leans on education and science policy, but also on SMEs and industry policy. Government of the Republic of Croatia assumes the key role in enhancing the propensity of companies towards innovations by establishing innovation-friendly environment, providing to innovators for planning in advance and generating benefits from their innovation aspirations. The Croatian national innovation system is planned to be leveraged by removal of regulatory and financial barriers, by creating inter alia access to financing for innovative companies, with support measures to private investment in research and innovation, comprised of voucher systems, grants or loans for all expenditures associated with innovations. In this year, Croatian government authorities prepared two important strategies regarding innovation. Firstly, the National Innovation Strategy until 2020, which is a set of measures comprised of enhancing innovation capacity of the existing companies, support in establishing new innovative startups, attraction of foreign direct investments, and public-private partnership. This strategy is harmonized with EU policies Horizon 2020 and with regional policy for smart specialization, and is in coherence with Croatian industrial strategy. Development will be monitored with performance indicators that are predicted by the strategy, and they will mark further necessary measures of research promotion and promotion of development of technologies that are directed to priority branches of the economy. The second important strategy is strategy for entrepreneurship for the period until 2020, in which one of 5 strategic priorities is improvement of the business environment, with further progress in removing administrative barriers perceiving to hinder growth. Policies and measures for SMEs are intended for all SMEs, irrelevant of the sector or technological area. However, all support measures add value to those projects and companies that are innovative, have high potential for growth, and they take care of the environment by using, promoting, or developing eco-friendly technology. When we talk about innovation, we must think of global priorities and tackle the grand societal challenges. Governments nowadays deal with more need for sustainability, environmental protection, aging population, and in parallel with economic crisis that causes further impediments in managing this system. A part of the solution is to try to find innovative solutions. Institutions have to be creative as well as other stakeholders in the system. Globalization has made global problems domestic and domestic problems global. Therefore, in this perspective, only the more dialogue and collaboration in the global international arena can tackle these problems with more success. Regarding collaboration, Republic of Croatia is open to participate on a UNECE platform and to share knowledge regarding establishment of innovation policy and process through important strategies and smart specialization process with other countries in region and whole world. In this content, we would like to remind that United Nations Economic Commission for Europe, together with Government of the Republic of Croatia and in cooperation with the Ministry of Entrepreneurship and Crafts, will host the international conference named Enterpreneurship and Innovation, Making Things Work Better, which will take place in Dubrovnik on May 23rd and 24th of this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Delegate of Croatia. I now invite the delegate of the Russian Federation to speak.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you to the presenters and the panelists. We have long been working with the ECE, and we can see the effectiveness of the results that have been achieved. When we talk about innovations, we think it is necessary possibly to look more specifically at specific issues related to innovative activities. I'm talking about the activities by small companies. We haven't talked about this much at all today. It is very clear that these companies are a significant part of innovative development. And they experience other problems that entrepreneurial activities are suffering from, such as economic problems, but there are also specific problems due to the fact that they're small companies that they have to face. They face certain difficulties in getting loans from banks, for example, or in difficulties with taxes, where they have difficulties using tax preferences, in difficulties with marketing and getting experts from large companies. Now, when we talk about innovation companies, innovative companies, they have additional difficulties to face. We think that when we talk about innovative activities, innovation development, that there needs to be particular attention here. There's a need for, on the one hand, for a broader look at support for entrepreneurship as a whole, and on the other hand, to put particular focus on support for small companies and creating links between small companies, groups of companies, and helping small companies to have access to foreign markets. Based on our experience, I'm a vice president of a public organization for the support of small entrepreneurship in Russia. And I can say that at a meeting with the president of the Russian Federation and with the government of the Russian Federation, we would feel much more confident if we had an opportunity to rely on a platform created within the framework of the UNECE, a platform for the support of small companies, with particular focus on development of innovative activities. It is clear that in spite of the specific characteristics of every country, there are common problems, and the approaches which could be taken on the basis of such an expert analysis in the framework of such a platform. Such platforms are often created by the UNECE. And so we would like to ask for more attention to be given to small entrepreneurship as a whole and to companies involved in innovation activities in particular, because these two components are linked. And looking at how they could resolve problems related to their competitive ability, to the development of small and medium-sized businesses, and giving small and medium-sized businesses greater innovation. So what we would like is not to limit innovation activities just to the framework of high-tech companies or major scientific institutions. We would like to see more attention be given to issues related to development within research institutions of small companies and mechanisms for promoting the success of small companies at the national and on global markets. And in this connection, we do think that creating such a special platform where they could exchange knowledge from experts on such issues, we think that that is something that is necessary. In that case, we could look at strategic questions, and they could also talk about issues which need to be resolved urgently related to the economic situation, for example. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Delegate of the Russian Federation. I will now invite the delegate of Italy to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, and thanks to the panelists for their presentation. I would like to support the intervention made by Ireland on behalf of the EU and its member states. And I would like to refer in particular to the sector of transports and particularly to the so-called intelligent transport system, to which also the representative of the EU Commission, Mr. Selmaski, made reference. We believe that the deployment of the ITS is aiming, among other things, to improve the conditions of the circulation, the road circulation, allowing also to reduce congestion and dead times in the traffic and in the logistical hubs, and reducing as well pollutants, emissions, and energy consumption. Investing in ITS could also represent, in particular in periods in time of economic downturn, a valid alternative to the building of new infrastructures that are very costly, of course, and they, as they are aimed to optimize the use of the already existing transport infrastructure. Italy has cooperated with UNECE to the preparation of the publication Intelligent Transport Systems for Sustainable Mobility, in which there is an analysis of the different solutions, ITS solution available in different transport sectors, as well as the proposal of a roadmap for the promotion of ITS, Intelligent Transport System, within the region, within the UNECE. We consider important to continue with this activity in UNECE, as UNECE, in our view, represents the most appropriate forum to, in view of having harmonization and interoperability of ITS. I thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you, Mr. Delegate. I will now give the floor to the delegate of Kyrgyzstan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to thank President of ECOSOC, Ambassador Sorio, and distinguished members of the panel for the interesting presentations. So on our part, I also would like to reflect on science, technology, innovations from angle of Kyrgyzstan. So Kyrgyzstan fully shares understanding of importance of SDI as integral factors of economic growth and sustainable development. Our midterm country development strategy outlines their vital role in transforming our transition economy into the service-oriented economy based on knowledge, research, and development. In order to encourage innovations, we have recently adopted the National Strategy on Intellectual Property Rights and Innovation, as well as passed the law on a public-private partnership. We expect that improvement of enabling environment will spur investments into innovative green economy projects, especially by small and medium enterprises, and lead to wider involvement of academia into innovative research and development. One of our key partners in promoting application of innovation is European Economic Commission. I shall note that its expertise and best practice sharing exercises, including respective project activities of the Special Program for Economies of Central Asia, so-called SPECA program, bring added value to national capacity building. Last year, for example, our capital Bishkek hosted a joint seminar for experts of Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan on promotion and financing of innovative green technologies for climate change adaptation. I shall reiterate that the European Commission continues to serve as a unique regional platform for national and international experts, as well as a source of best business practices and advanced expertise. I thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you, Mr. Delegate, for this intervention. Ladies and gentlemen, now I will give the floor to questions addressed to the panel. So are there any questions in the floor? No. Oh, there's one. We have one question. Sir, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. And thank you to all of the panelists. I think it's always good to have one question, you know, to keep the panelists on their toes a little bit. I'm speaking from UNIDO, the UN Industrial Development Organization, and as this morning's session, of course, is also a preparatory meeting ahead of this year's annual ministerial review at ECOSOC on the topic of innovation. And UNIDO is one of the agencies that is working together in the preparation of this session. So hearing from the panelists and then also the responses from delegates, I think, will be very useful for those of us who are involved in that. And in the latter connection, I'd just also like to make special mention to the interventions made by the Russian Federation, Kyrgyzstan and others about the need to link strongly to SMEs. This is an issue which is very close to our heart in UNIDO, in seeking to overcome the challenges that face SMEs and to link them to global value change. I have a specific question, and it's to one of the panel members, really, to Mr. Erlich. And I mean, Israel is a success story in turning its economy around during the 1990s and beyond, from a time of economic stagnation and even hyperinflation, I think, to an economy that's now very much based on innovation and high-tech based growth. The presentation that he made, in fact, really demonstrates the potential of well thought out industrial strategies and policies for economic growth and for development generally. I note also, of course, that the success of Israeli innovation is closely related to specific factor endowments in that country, especially on the labour side. But I wonder what lessons can developing countries globally and also countries in the ECE region draw from the Israeli experience in terms of what to do, what not to do, where to begin with an innovation policy that leads to this kind of dynamism in the economy and to inclusive growth in society. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the floor? If not, I will have one question from my side, which is directed at Philippe Ramet. And my question is the following. Philippe, if you can take it up. You are known to be an opinion leader in the Rio +20 UN program, and green and sustainable economy sometimes comes in contradiction with innovation and the development of technologies. Some promoters are even skeptical about science capacity to bring answers to the most pressing issues. So could you please explain how innovative firms can reconcile these aspects, specifically under what you call the circular economy?
Merci Pierre de me donner l'occasion de revenir à la fois sur ce qui s'est passé à Rio et sur...
Sorry, can the speaker use the microphone? It's almost impossible to hear what he's saying.
Pardon. Visiblement le micro.
Sorry, obviously my microphone wasn't on. Thank you, Pierre. Let me say what I was saying. Thank you for allowing me to revert briefly to this question of financing, and in particular, France's desire to promote the idea of the circular economy. This isn't a new concept. The circular economy has emerged in a number of countries, but it is a subject where France, with France's partners in the European Union, the European Commission, and the members of the European Union, it's an area where we want to make progress. Now, the concept is to change our modes of production and consumption. Today we have a linear economy. You take resources from the planet, and we know now that those resources are finite. We transform those resources into products, we use them, and then we throw them away. And we really need to change the way we produce and consume by promoting the incorporation of waste into the economy. The circular economy, the notion is that you reuse byproducts from each production or consumption process and reuse them while avoiding the generation of waste to the greatest extent possible. And the role of innovation here is going to be absolutely vital to develop this new economy, this new economic tool. It goes from the very design of the products from the very beginning, replacement of products through services, the reuse of products, and the recycling of products. As I said, we're working with the European Union on this subject, but in France, the government wanted to make this particular issue a focus of the environmental conference that's going to be held in September this year. And I also need to tell you that an institute has been established in February this year in order to compile and bring together all of the thinking on the subject of the circular economy in France, working with the authorities, the government authorities, but also with researchers, working with the private sector too. So here, innovation is going to be one of the key focuses of this new institute. So that's what I perhaps could add to what I said earlier in response to your question.
Very much for this intervention. My colleague, Mr. Erlich, just made me aware that he didn't have the occasion to answer to the delegate of UNIDO. I apologize for that. I was the impression that he made a statement and not asked a question. So again, apologies, and I'll give the floor to Mr. Erlich to actually address the question.
Well, I think it was a question, but let me phrase it again. I think the question was, how can one implement the success of Israel in technology development and technology startup creation into other fields, especially for developing countries. And I think that I spoke about it a little bit, but I can focus on 2 points. The first one is entrepreneurship. I think that this is something which is very general, depends on education and depends on, of course, the leadership of the countries if they want to encourage people to take their own future in their hands. You must understand that when we say entrepreneurship or when we talk about entrepreneurs, doesn't mean that everyone should be an entrepreneur. Of course, there are a group of people, not too many, that have the quality to be entrepreneurs, and they can be the leader and to take with them all the rest. And this group of people should be identified and should be treated in a different way, especially through education from very early ages. So this is one point. The other one is the public-private partnerships that can help, of course, to create new companies and new ideas. This partnership should be understood by the fact that each party has its own role. And in many cases that I know, in many governments, I see some intervention of each group in the other one business. In other words, governments know how to make a policy, know what they want maybe, but they cannot intervene into the business. They have to leave it to the private sector to manage companies, to know how to raise money for companies, to know how to help them to give value to companies. Government should not intervene in this process. They should step aside, try to give the conditions and the means in order to succeed. They should have a control on what they are doing, but not intervene in business.
Thank you, Mr. Erlich. Another question from the floor? No, then I have a question, if you allow me. Dr. Anelli, the question is for you. Though we are very much impressed by the level of scientific knowledge and innovation that we find at CERN, we wonder why no large successful businesses actually have emerged from programs like, for example, the STFC CERN Business Incubation Program. There are businesses that emerge, but not big, significant businesses like Microsoft, per se. Could you maybe elaborate and give us a few hints at how CERN could contribute to building larger businesses in Europe?
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. I think the reason is twofold. There is one cultural aspect. The organization is almost 60 years old, but the culture of the organization has always been focused primarily on the scientific results. And this idea of try to generate impact in the economy through the generation of new businesses started, I would say, something like 10 years ago. Well, sometimes people ask me the question, well, yeah, for example, if you had tried to make money out of the World Wide Web, this would have been a great success story. I don't think, I think if we had tried to do that, the developers at the time would have chosen another solution. It's clear that we have a very short history in trying to commercialize our innovation. So this is one part of the answer, and the other part, so is time. Let's say I don't think we did have enough time to fully exploit our potential yet. And the other thing is, as I partially mentioned, is really cultural. If you look at the convention, the founding convention of CERN, the original document, it is clearly stated that we should make all our research results publicly available. And this, of course, generates a lot of discussions internally. What does that mean exactly? And the point I want to make is that, I always say we cannot do technology transfer without having the people doing the research work fully on board. And we are still in the process of convincing our own researcher that it is important that the innovation that they generate is not used only within the laboratory to do the research, but also is exploited outside. So what you just mentioned is a program that we launched less than 1 year ago, in fact, is one first step in the direction of saying, well, we believe that we must exploit our knowledge also by creating new companies. We are an intergovernmental organization and we have many member states, so we should try to do it across all our member states. And this incubator is the first one over what we hope will be a series of incubators in the member states which could host new companies. And inside CERN now we are working on a concept which is really new, new for CERN, which is to have a pre-incubator inside the organization where we can start working on these ideas and those technologies before we spin them off and they will be hosted in one of the incubators.
Thank you, Dr. Anelli, for this explanation. I have actually witnessed in Europe very often that the scientific and academic world has difficulties transferring its innovation and know-how to the economic world. Do our delegates on the floor have an opinion on that subject? Does someone want to speak? Fair enough. Let me then move to another question that I would like to address to Mr. Stemaschik. Pavel, we can all witness the congestion that we go through. And whenever I drive to Geneva every morning, I'm pestering against the congestion. So we can all witness that in our major cities and where we experience an increase of traffic. And we have seen the emergence of the number of technologies and products to monitor cars, manage, traffic, etc., etc. And every time I see those technical solutions, I think on the positive aspects, trying to diminish congestions, etc. And very often, negative aspects come to mind, which is government eavesdropping on my private life, meaning, following me, following my license plate, knowing where I am, at what speed I am driving, etc., which is a bit, how should I put it? It's a balance of two things that seem to be right. So could you please elaborate a little bit on those aspects?
Sure, with pleasure. Indeed, you're touching on the very essence of why ITS can be a big element of the solution to what the CEO of Ford Motor Company calls a global gridlock. That's what we're heading for, and I'm afraid we're not only witnessing, but we experience every day the problem of congestion. I think we need to be bold, and having worked in the ICT industry and having also directly experienced the continuity of so-called Moore's Law, I think that making a parallel, what we need to do is to look, we have started that in the European Commission through the last white paper on the transport policy. We need to look at the transport system maybe as a computer chip, onto which, on the CPU, every 18 months, the innovators around the world manage to place twice as many transistors as was the case before. And this Moore's Law has been holding true since 1970s, I think 1972, if I'm correct. So with transport, there was a contribution from a representative delegate from Italy who said that ITS is a perfect tool to squeeze more out of the existing infrastructure, to optimize use of what we have built already, and we cannot build more because of cost constraints, because of lack of space in some cases when you look at the Netherlands and so forth. So maybe we should come up with a Kallas law, Kallas being the name of our current Commissioner for Transport and Mobility, which basically would challenge the whole transport sector and innovators around the world to try and, if not double, at least increase by a certain percentage the number of cars that we can put on our roads by using them in a more optimal manner. And this is the type of research and innovation that we also support through Horizon 2020. But you mentioned the concerns about the user acceptance of some of these new technologies because of privacy concerns, personal data protection, and maybe I would even add liability on the delivery side. Well, let me put it this way. In the European Union, we have, I think, very well balanced and well-conceived laws on personal data protection, dating back to pre-dot-com era from early 2000, or even, well, 2003 is the last revision of the Data Protection Directive. And basically, we can spend until doomsday discussing the big brother fears and how my privacy can be compromised by having a navigation device in the car that allows me to avoid traffic jams in the morning or whatever time of the day. We have completed studies, some supporting studies as part of the ITS action plan. On these topics, specifically personal data protection and liability. And yes, these are valid concerns, but just as is the case for the need for tolerance of failure, I think here we just need to accept that the society that we live in, we use credit cards, we use mobile phones, we carry smartphones with us all the time. These are devices that, let's face it, can allow those who want to track and trace us. We can be tracked and traced every day and very, very easily. So, okay, there is a trade-offs, but I don't think we will ever be able to to escape that dilemma. And again, I'm referring back to the well-balanced set of laws and regulatory measures that we have put in place in the European Union. So I think we are well protected, provided that, of course, the suppliers of these innovative services that allow us to travel more efficiently and more seamlessly, provided that they respect the laws. So that's what it comes down to.
We have to draw the line somewhere. Yeah. There is a request for intervention from the delegate of Belarus, to whom I'm giving the floor now.
Thank you very much, Chair. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been talking for 2 days about sustainable development innovation, and I believe that we're not taking into account a technology which the European Commission has. I'm talking about technical regulations and standardization as a technology. In particular, WP6, the group which deals with methodologies and ideology. If we're talking about sustainable development, if we're talking about building up a knowledge base, this is recognized as an effective way of doing that. I mean, standardization. In my opinion, Working Party 6 could be a kind of a cross-cutting platform to discuss these types of issues. Today, all regional international organizations are trying to find their way. The standardization organizations are trying to meet the requirements of our times. And WP6 is a universal body allowing for an open platform for broad discussions to come up with common solutions. The WP6 could be an instrument which allow all our countries to become involved in these discussions. We could identify those focal points which will allow us to set the priorities for future standardization activities. I'm speaking particularly about sustainable development. Without technology, we can talk about policies and as long as we like, but without regulations, we will not be able to move forward. Without standardization, let me just say that among the documents of this session, let me draw your attention to the fact that standardization and technical regulation is a tool which you and ECE could use in the future in order to create the necessary conditions for the development of sustainable development innovation in our countries and worldwide. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Delegate. Any other reactions in the room? No reactions? I will have a question then to Staffan Sundman regarding the forest industry, which is a very interesting example. Staffan, we have seen in the past 2 years prices plummet for wood pellets and wood chips, down respectively 60 and 35% according to the numbers I have seen. We believe this situation was a trigger, probably for a number of firms like yours to innovate massively and diversify in new bio-oil, biocomposites, etc. Do you feel that that basically, prices dropping in your core business was a major trigger of innovation? In other words, do European companies need that kind of suffering before they really start to innovate?
Thank you. That's a good question. I do believe that in our sector we have been focusing very much on doing what we have been doing for many years and what we've been good on: producing paper, producing chemical pulp, building faster and wider machines, and being more productive and efficient in doing that. But yes, I think we have faced the situation in Europe that the paper consumption is going down, and if we want to grow and be competitive, we need to create something new. So it's clear that there has been a trigger, at least in our business, from the market development of our previous main products. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other reaction? Let me address then maybe a sensitive questions to Mr. Erlich. Maybe you've read this book. It's called Boulevard of Broken Dreams. It was written by Harvard Business School professor Josh Lerner. It's a very interesting book of the do's and don'ts that government should take in consideration when trying to support innovation. Professor Lerner explained that contrary to common views, proximity in state-backed venture programs tend to produce bad performance. And we understand that this is a sensitive subject. Now, I was wondering, how did you, Mr. Erlich, manage this proximity with government interest issue when you founded Yozma, which obviously was a success?
Well, thank you, Pierre. You know that I know Josh Lerner personally. I know his books, yeah, and I know his criticism on venture capital and on government. Basically, what he thinks is that government should not intervene. It's an American approach, and he gives many examples why government fail when they start to intervene. In our case, I think it was a little bit different because there was a clear market failure. I can describe you the time, in the 90s, where in Israel everybody said, we have nice technology, but we don't know how to implement it. Our people don't know how to manage companies. They don't know how to market their product. Sometimes they develop something which is not related to the market, so they don't understand the market. So what should we do? And nobody did anything because it's a risky business to deal with startup companies. So the question, you can continue sit and talk about what should be done, but at the end someone has to do something. So it was kind of creating an environment for the government to intervene. So people, would accept if the government would come and said, we want to solve it with this means. And that's exactly what we did. We came to the public after we sit with the government and decided that there is a need to allocate $100 million in order to solve this problem. And we did it as something which need to be solved in a few years. If you cannot solve it, then we will stop. So for that purpose, we started the Yozma company. And we were successful not only because the program was good, but also because of the timing. Many aspects were for this success. And the fact that the partnership between the government and the private sector at the time was successful helps afterwards people to understand that sometimes government intervention is positive. And that I think is very important. There is no lack of criticism, of course, because you can hear that why government should give money to private investors and they become rich and the government is not getting too much of it. Yeah. And that's a question, of how you present what you want to do and what you want to achieve. So you have a goal. You have to show to the people that you achieve this goal, and if you can do it without losing money, it's even better. That's what we did.
So in summary, the government should intervene within a very tight framework. This is what you're saying.
In a very tight framework to understand exactly what is the line between what the private sector can do and what you can do. Yeah. We were much flexible about giving them to manage the funds. Yeah. We did not intervene too much. We had some, veto rights about what they can do or what they cannot, like investing in Israeli companies and not in other companies, like investing in technology innovation and no other things. But rather than that, they have the flexibility to manage these funds.
Okay. May I, Pavel, yes. Just rebound on this limited scope of government intervention? As I said before, I was quite impressed by the big envelope that the European Union is putting forward this program. Is this, I mean, consistent with what Mr. Erlich said just before, or are you doing it your own way?
Well, I wonder what answer you expect. Yes, we're doing it our way, which is a continuation of the commitment to support investments in research and innovation, because innovation has thus far not been a very strong point on the economic development map of the European Union. Some countries are, of course, some member states are more innovative and driven than others. I will not be calling them by the name. Others are less so, much more conservative. Some of them are suspicious culturally of entrepreneurship in general. But we have this commitment within the European Commission, and yes, I agree, it is a lot of public money. And we have made in the Commission's proposal a bold step to propose funding up to 100%. So basically, the applicants, the beneficiaries, they do not have much risk, involved of their own contributions. So they do not have that much at stake. But we absolutely believe that in some cases which we know, okay, there's a fine line that we're playing with here, but there are some areas where basically nothing much will happen unless there's government, there's public money flowing in, and we decided to support such projects, such actions until the time when they're close to market deployment. And this is where funding for pilot actions and so forth comes down to 70%. And then, of course, we monitor, and the assumption is that the project should be sustainable, funded under Horizon 2020 should be sustainable for a number of years after the funding ceases. If not, they will never be eligible for funding again, or at least not in the foreseeable future.
Understand. Just quick, because we need to conclude.
Yeah. Okay, just two remarks about the European Commission plans, because I was a little bit involved with the other plans. I think it's the first time that Europe understands that it's very important to move money to implementation rather than only to science and research. Yeah. So, and you see the result in the new program as Pavel introduced it. But I must say that if I compare to Israel, the one thing I believe it's not right is to give 100% of the money, financing, where the companies are involved or business people are involved. They must take some risk by themselves as well, because otherwise you will get criticism from the public and they might be justified.
They might take the profit, but not take the risk. Yeah, that's not very balanced. We can take one very last question from the floor before concluding this session. Is there a last question from the floor? No final question. So allow me maybe to address a very final question, and then we'll conclude.
Mr. Chairman, you're in terms of believing it very shortly now.
Philippe, regarding these remarks of government intervention, in France you have created a ministry of development, of industrial development, if I'm not mistaken, of productive development, excuse me for the wording. So what is France's position regarding these direct investment or government support into innovation?
Ça fonctionne, oui. Alors, le terme exact, c'est ministre du redressement productif.
Could the interpreters just point out that it is already after 1 o'clock, which is the official ending time for interpretation? On your question, yes, the government did wanted to create this ministry in order to show the importance the government attaches to the whole issue of innovation and research, which, as I've already said repeatedly, are totally vital for, both are vital for the promotion of our economy. I'm not going to take much more time because, as you pointed out earlier, we are running out of time, and I think that we also have some concluding comments from the chair. So thank you for the question, and I'll give you the floor back to you.
We are arriving to the end of the session, and we shall now leave the floor to the chair.
So we are getting closer to the end of this meeting. Allow me to, I think that you agree with me that it was another very interesting discussion. We benefited today. What else could be more relevant than speaking about a dynamic and competitive economy and about the role of innovation could have, especially in these days when all our countries do look for solutions to try to improve the economic situation. So allow me in this context to express our gratitude to all those who contributed. So I would start with His Excellency's Ambassador Osario. And thank you very much, Ambassador, for coming here. And I hope you will take all our best wishes from here in New York. Thank you very much and have a nice trip back to your country. Of course, I want to thank all the panelists for the effort they made to be here with us today and to bring us so many interesting, so insightful and inspiring and stimulating ideas. And last but not least, I want to express our gratitude to the moderator who kept the discussion very lively. And of course, to all those delegations who came from capitals, because now we are closing. We are not only in the end of point 3 on our agenda, but we have reached the end of the high-level segment. So the meeting official meeting is adjourned. That I said, the high-level segment, and allow me, but before leaving, just to make a very short announcement. There is a side event now in room 15. The side event will start at 2 p.m. and the title is for Future Inland Transport System Project, and I invite all the delegations who want to take profit of this to attend, to be there at 2 p.m. sharp in room 15. And with that, allow me to wish you all the best, especially, as I said, for those coming from capitals here. And the meeting is adjourned, and the last part of the session of today will start at 3 p.m. So have a very nice afternoon.